I suddenly opened my eyes, the blue light from the computer screen stinging my pupils. The screen displayed the interface of the college entrance exam application system, with the date in the bottom right corner clearly showing, June 30th, 2013. It was the last day to submit college entrance exam applications. "Sui, what are you spacing out for?" A familiar voice came from behind me, and my back instantly stiffened. "Theo G." I turned around slowly and saw the face that had once haunted my dreams. The 18-year-old Theo G was wearing a white school uniform shirt, the sunlight streaming through the window casting a golden halo around him, making him look pure and warm. In my past life, I was fooled by this very appearance for a full 20 years. I was looking at college applications. I heard my own voice. Eerily calm, Theo G leaned in with a smile, carrying a faint scent of laundry detergent. "Didn't we agree we'd both apply to the local polytechnic university, close to home? Easier to take care of our parents." I stared at his profile, so close I could almost touch it, as memories from my past life flooded back. It was today. He tricked me into giving up my first-tier scores to apply for a local second-tier university, while he, at the last moment, changed his application and went to that prestigious 985 university up north with Luna Bai, the class beauty. "Sui." He waved his hand in front of my eyes. "Why do you look so pale?" "It's nothing," I forced a smile. "Just a bit nervous." He affectionately ruffled my hair. "Don't worry, I'm here for you." In my past life, these words would have filled my heart with sweetness. Now, they only make me sick. A commotion suddenly erupted at the front door of the classroom. Luna Bai walked in wearing a light blue dress, her long hair flowing like a proud white swan. Theo G's gaze immediately drifted in her direction. I watched coldly from the sidelines. How had I failed to notice this in my past life? The way their eyes communicated clearly showed this wasn't their first interaction. "I'm going to the restroom," I said as I stood up, needing some alone time to sort through my thoughts. The reflection in the mirror shows my 18-year-old face still rounded with baby fat. Yet my eyes already carry the weariness of age. I died. And then I was reborn. The excruciating pain of being hit by a car in my past life seems to linger in my bones. But what hurts even more is the image of Theo G holding Luna Bai's arm while telling me, "I've always seen you as a little sister. Sui Yang, in this life, I'll make you repay your debts in blood." I whispered to my reflection in the mirror. Back in the classroom, classmates gathered in small groups discussing their college preferences. "Sui," my best friend Lin Xiaoyu waved at me. "Have you made up your mind?" In my past life, Lin Xiaoyu had advised me not to give up a good university for Theo G, but I didn't listen. Later, when I took a leave of absence to care for G's mother, she was the only one who regularly visited me. Still thinking about it, I smiled and walked over. Theo G and Luna Bai stood by the window, seemingly discussing a problem, but in reality, their shoulders were pressed unusually close together. "Those two have been getting pretty close lately," Lin Xiaoyu muttered softly, following my gaze. "Really?" I feigned nonchalance. "Theo said he and Luna are just study partners." "Phut," Lin Xiaoyu rolled her eyes. "The whole class can see Luna Bai likes Theo G. Only you're clueless." Yeah, I was the fool. It wasn't until the graduation ceremony in my past life that I found out they'd been together since freshman year. While I was back in our hometown changing his mother's bedpan. "Quiet down, class." Homeroom teacher Mr. Wang entered the classroom. "Today is the final deadline for college applications. Everyone make sure to confirm your choices promptly." I returned to my seat and opened the college application system. In my past life, I scored 623 points, enough to get into a top-tier university elsewhere. But I listened to Theo G's nonsense and applied to a local second-tier polytechnic university. My fingers hovered over the keyboard as I took a deep breath. This time, I will completely change my fate. "Sui." Theo G appeared behind me at some point. "Let me help you check your application." He reached out to touch my mouse, but I dodged his hand. "No need, I can handle it myself." He froze for a moment, clearly unaccustomed to my refusal. "Then remember to apply for the Polytechnic University." He lowered his voice. "We agreed on it." I looked up and met his eyes directly. "Are you really applying to the Polytechnic University?" "Of course." He smiled flawlessly. "Didn't we agree to stay local together?" Such great acting. In my past life, it was at this very moment that I fell for his deceitful words and single-handedly ruined my own future. Theo G, Lunaby called out to him from the other end of the classroom. Can you come help me with this problem? Coming right away, he replied, then turned back to me. Sui, I'll go help Luna with her problem first. Show me yours when you're done, watching his retreating figure as he walked toward Lunaby. I let out a cold laugh, opening the browser. I typed best universities I can get into with 623 points. In my past life, I didn't even bother checking, abandoning all opportunities for so-called love. The first search result was Southern University, a top 10 nationally ranked 985 institution. The finance department's admission cutoff last year was 620 points. My fingers began to tremble. If in my past life I had studied finance at Nanjing University, I should be working at an investment bank by now, not lying in a morgue. Attention, students, Teacher Wang tapped the podium. The application system will close at 5 p.m. Please make sure to confirm and submit before then. I glanced at the clock. 3:40 p.m. Time is running out. Sui Yang. Lunaby stood before my desk at some point, looking down at me. I heard you're applying to the same university as Theo. I closed my laptop screen. None of your business. She clearly didn't expect my counterattack. A flicker of surprise crossed her delicate face. I just think, she quickly adjusted her expression. It's such a waste for you to apply to the Polytechnic University with your grades. Really, I smiled. Where are you applying then? She suddenly realized she had slipped up and hurriedly corrected herself. I mean, everyone should apply where they fit best. I stood up, raising my voice an octave. Theo G, come here for a moment. All eyes in the class turned toward us. Theo G walked over with a frown. What's wrong, Sui? Why so loud? Are you sure you want to apply to the Polytechnic University? I stared straight into his eyes. Say it again in front of the whole class. The classroom instantly fell silent. Theo G's expression changed. Sui, what do you mean by this? The meaning is simple, I said clearly. If you log into the volunteer system now, does it really show Polytechnic University? His pupils suddenly contracted. In my previous life, it wasn't until the start of university that I found out he had ultimately changed to Northern University. And now, I'm going to expose his disguise in front of the whole class. I obviously applied to the University of Technology, he said, trying to stay calm, but beads of sweat were already forming on his forehead. Then dare to log into the system right now and show everyone. I pressed on relentlessly. Lunaby rushed over and grabbed Theo G's arm. Sui Yang, what's wrong with you? College applications are personal privacy. Feeling guilty, I sneered, or did the two of you already plan to go to Northern University together? While tricking me into staying local, the classroom erupted in uproar. Sui, let me explain. Theo G reached out to grab me. I took a step back. No need. I've already checked the system logs. You modified your application at 4:17 p.m. yesterday, changing it from Polytechnic University to Northern University's Economics Department. Of course, this is all made up, but I bet he's guilty as sin. Sure enough. Theo G's face instantly turned deathly pale. How could you? How could I know? I finished for him. Because Lunaby also applied to the Economics Department at Northern University, and both of your applications were submitted at the same time. This is purely speculation, but judging by their panicked expressions, I guessed right. The eyes of the entire class were like spotlights shining on them. Sui Yang. Theo G finally tore off his disguise, furious and humiliated. You investigated me. It was just a chance discovery, I said calmly. By the way, I want to let everyone know that my choice is the finance department at Southern University, and I won't give up my future for anyone again. With that, I picked up my backpack and walked out of the classroom, the murmurs of discussion rising and falling behind me. In the hallway, my legs felt weak, and I had to lean against the wall to steady myself. The first battle, I had won. But the war had only just begun. When I got home, Mom was cooking in the kitchen. Sui's back, she peeked out. Have you finished filling out your college preferences? In my past life. I still remember her hesitant expression when I excitedly told her Theo G and I were applying to the same university. All done. I put down my backpack. Finance department at Southern University. The spatula in Mom's hand clattered to the ground. What? Her eyes widened. Didn't you say you were going to apply to the Polytechnic University with Theo? That was his lie. I walked into the kitchen to help pick up the spatula. He and Luna by secretly changed their applications to Northern University. Mom's expression shifted from shock to anger. How dare that G-boy treat you like this? Mom, you don't seem very surprised. I keenly sensed there was more to her words. Mom sighed. Actually, the G family has borrowed money from us several times and never paid it back. His father doesn't have a good reputation outside. My heart jolted. In my past life, my parents never told me these things. They must have been afraid of damaging my relationship with Theo G, and, Mom hesitated for a moment. Last parents' meeting, I saw Theo G and that by family girl in the stairwell, behaving very intimately. I didn't tell you because I was afraid it would hurt you. I hugged my mom. I won't do it again. I won't compromise myself for anyone anymore. After dinner, I returned to my room and turned on the computer again. The webpage of the finance department at Southern University was glowing on the screen. This was the starting point of my new life. Just as I was about to submit my college preferences, my phone rang. It was Theo G. I hung up immediately. He called 3 times in a row and finally sent a text. Sui, let's talk. It's not what you think, I replied. The preference system has modification records. Don't try to explain. From now on, we're even. After sending this message, I blocked all his contact information. In my past life, I cried all night upon receiving the admission letter from Northern University. This time, it's your turn. Theo G. After submitting my college application, I let out a long sigh of relief. Suddenly, I remembered something. During my freshman year in my previous life, Theo G's mother fell down the stairs and became paralyzed, and I took a year off from school to take care of her. Was that accident really just an accident? I opened the browser and searched for Dean Cheng, Department of Economics, Northern University. Dean Cheng, a legendary figure in the Department of Economics at Northern University, later became a rising star in the financial world. In my previous life, I had seen him in financial news and even mused that if I had gone to Northern University, I might have become his student. But now, I was going to take the initiative to create an opportunity. Search results showed that Dean Cheng was currently a senior and an exchange student at Southern University. A bold plan began to take shape in my mind. If everything goes smoothly, not only can I avoid the G family's trap, but I can also build my own network of connections. Theo G. Do you think betraying me comes without a price? Just wait and see. The admission letter gleamed with a golden sheen under the sunlight. The gilded characters Department of Finance. Southern University stung my eyes. A sting of joy. In my past life, the admission letter from the Polytechnic University was soaked through by my tears all night long. Sui, I'm so happy for you. Mom's hands trembled as she held the letter. I always knew my daughter was the best. Dad silently patted my shoulder. His eyes read, how disappointed they must have been in my past life when their daughter gave up a bright future for a boy. The phone vibrated. It was an unfamiliar number. Hello. Sui, it's me. Theo G's voice slithered into my ear like a venomous snake. Heard you got into Nanda University. Congratulations. I hung up immediately and blocked the number. He actually had the nerve to contact me. Summer fades into autumn as I stand before the grand gates of Southern University. Dragging my suitcase behind me, the plane tree leaves begin to yellow, and the campus is bustling with freshmen hauling luggage and enthusiastic upperclassmen offering warm welcomes. In my past life at this very moment, I was crying from homesickness in my dorm room at Polytechnic University, with Theo G calling daily to comfort me. Now, I take a deep breath and step forward into my new life. Hey, do you need any help? A girl with a ponytail approached me with a smile. Thanks. I'm a freshman in the finance department. Could you tell me how to get to Building 3? What a coincidence. I'm also in finance. I'm Suchi, a sophomore. She naturally took one of my bags. Let me show you the way. The dorm was a quadroom, more spacious than I had imagined. This is your bed. Suchi pointed to the lower bunk by the window. Lucky you, this spot is the most sought after. I ran my hand over the bedboard. In my past life, I lived in an 8-person dorm at the Polytechnic University. Dark and damp. Thank you. Senior, don't mention it. There's a welcome party for the department tonight. Remember to come. Suchi winked at me. Senior Dean Cheng will be giving a speech. All the girls in the department are waiting for it. Dean Cheng. My hands paused while packing. That high-profile figure I'd searched online. Is he really that impressive? I asked casually, pretending not to care. Suchi widened her eyes dramatically. You don't know Dean Cheng, a senior who's already secured an offer from a Wall Street investment bank, the legend of our department? I nodded and kept this matter in mind. The welcome party was held in the finance department's lecture hall, which was packed to capacity with 200 people. Look, that's Dean Cheng. Suchi nudged me and pointed toward the podium. A tall young man was adjusting the microphone. He wore a simple white shirt and black dress pants, with his sleeves casually rolled up to his elbows, revealing well-defined forearms. Unlike Theo G's sunny, handsome boy-next-door charm, Dean Cheng's aura is more reserved and sharp, like a renowned sword sheathed in its scabbard. Hello everyone, I am Dean Cheng. His voice was deep and clear, without any unnecessary words. Today, I will talk about the jungle law of financial markets. For the next 30 minutes, the entire lecture hall was completely silent. Dean Cheng dissected the brutal essence of the financial market in the most concise language. No empty platitudes, just raw survival rules. Finally, he scanned the room. In this field, those who act on emotions are the first to be eliminated. The words pierced my heart like an arrow, wasn't I? In my past life, the biggest loser for being emotional. Now we'll move to the QA session, the host announced. I inexplicably raised my hand. The girl in white, Dean Cheng, pointed at me. All eyes turned toward me, and my palms grew damp with sweat. The senior mentioned there's no mercy in the market. So does morality hold no importance at all in financial transactions? My voice was steadier than I had expected. Dean Cheng raised his eyebrows slightly, seemingly surprised that a freshman would ask such a question. Morality is a luxury, he said, looking straight into my eyes. You can only afford it when you're strong enough. Until then, survival comes first. The answer was brutal yet truthful, just as I realized after my rebirth. Before making Theo G pay, I must first make myself strong. After the orientation, I was stopped in the hallway. The junior who just asked a question. I turned around to see Dean Cheng standing a meter away, towering over me by half a head. Hello, senior. I forced myself to stay composed. Your question is quite interesting. He handed me a business card. I have a lecture on financial modeling next Wednesday. You're welcome to attend if you're interested. The card bore only a name and an email address, so minimal it bordered on arrogance. Thank you, I'll consider it. I took the card without showing excessive excitement. Dean Cheng seemed slightly surprised by my reaction, nodded, and then walked away. Oh my God, he actually invited you personally. Suchi suddenly appeared out of nowhere, grabbing my arm and shaking it. Dean Cheng never initiates conversations with girls. I smiled and carefully put away the business card. This is just the beginning. College life was busier than I had imagined. The finance department's course schedule was packed, and I spent almost all my time in the library. Occasionally, I would unintentionally pass by the graduate building, where Dean Cheng had his private research office, but I never deliberately approached him. Having lived a second life, I understood the principle of playing hard to get all too well. On a weekend in October, I logged into my QQ account, which I hadn't used for nearly half a year. In the message list, Theo G's avatar kept blinking. Sui, are you okay? Why aren't you answering my calls? I know you're upset, but I have my reasons. My mom fell and got hurt. Can you come see her? The last message was sent yesterday. I sneered. In my past life, it was this very message that softened my heart and led me to take care of Mrs. G, ultimately causing me to suspend my studies for a year. This time, I replied, not convenient. Please hire a caregiver. After sending this, I clicked into Theo G's profile. Although I had blocked him, his profile was still public. The latest update is a photo of him and Luna by at the gate of Northern University, captioned New Life, New Beginning. I took a screenshot and saved it. Scrolling further down, almost every post features Luna Bai. They joined clubs together, ate meals together, looking every bit like a campus couple. In my past life, I was foolish enough to believe they were just study partners. I turned on my computer, logged into a newly registered anonymous email account, and sent a message to the Academic Affairs Office of the Economics Department at Northern University. Dear Professor, I have discovered that multiple assignments by your department's freshmen, Theo G and Luna Bai, exhibit severe plagiarism. The evidence is as follows. Attached were the original papers they had plagiarized, which I had spent a week tracking down. This is just the appetizer. I turned off my computer and walked out to the balcony of my dorm. The night sky in the south was clear, and the stars shone brighter than in the north. My phone suddenly vibrated. It was an unknown number. "Hello, Sui Yang." A female voice asked. "I'm from the student union. There's a financial case analysis competition next week, and Senior Dean Cheng recommended you to participate." My heart skipped a beat. "Thanks for the heads up. I'll be ready." After hanging up, I clenched my fists. The opportunity came faster than expected. On the day of the competition, I wore a dark blue suit and tied my hair up high. "Wow, you're radiating an aura 2 meters 80 today," Su Chi whistled. The theme of the case analysis is defensive strategies against hostile corporate takeovers. The case I drew happened to be a classic one I had studied in my previous life. After starting work, standing at the podium, I spoke eloquently, even incorporating some theoretical perspectives that wouldn't become widespread until 10 years later. Finally, I looked at Dean Cheng on the judges' panel. The best defense is not passive resistance, but taking the initiative to make the opponent pay an unbearable price. The corner of Dean Cheng's mouth lifted almost imperceptibly. The competition result was a foregone conclusion. I took first place. "Your perspective is quite novel." Dean Cheng stopped me in the hallway after the award ceremony. "Especially the part about anti-takeover equity design. It doesn't seem like the work of a freshman. I just got lucky and happened to prepare relevant cases." I replied modestly. Dean Cheng handed me a document. "There's a National Finance Academic Conference next month. My team needs an assistant. Interested?" I took the file and skimmed through it quickly. This was a rare opportunity. The attendees were all top figures in the industry. What preparations do I need to make? "Next Tuesday at 7 p.m., room 303 in the graduate building. Team meeting." He didn't directly answer my question. "Bring your laptop." With that, he turned and walked away, his straight back resembling a cedar tree. Back in the dorm, I turned on my computer to check my emails. The Academic Affairs Office of Northern University replied to my report, stating they would seriously investigate the plagiarism allegations against Theo G and Luna Bai. At the same time, my alternate account received a notification about Luna Bai's social media update. She posted a photo in the hospital with the caption, "Taking care of Auntie is exhausting, but it's worth it for Theo Red Heart #." In the corner of the photo, Theo G is holding the hand of the woman on the hospital bed. Mother G really did get injured from the fall. Scenes from the past life flashed before my eyes. Me wiping Mother G's body, feeding her, handling her bathroom needs. While Theo G was up north romancing Luna Bai under the moonlight, the phone rang again. It was a local number. "Hello, Sui, it's me." Theo G's voice sounded exhausted. "My mom had a bad fall. It's serious. Could you—" "No," I cut him off bluntly. "I'm busy, Sui." His voice suddenly rose. "How could you become so heartless? My mom always treated you like her own daughter. Then you should ask your girlfriend, Luna Bai, for help." I sneered. "The photos are well taken, very heartwarming." There was a brief silence on the other end of the line. How do you know about Luna?" "Theo G," I said slowly, enunciating each word. "From the day you tricked me into changing my application, we've been even." Hanging up the phone, I took a deep breath and turned on my computer to start preparing materials for the academic conference. At 6:50 p.m. on Tuesday evening, I stood in front of room 303 in the graduate building. The door was slightly ajar, and Dean Cheng's voice came from inside. "The data model still needs optimization." I knocked on the door. "Come in." Pushing the door open, I saw that besides Dean Cheng, there were 2 men and 1 woman in the research room, all appearing to be graduate students. "This is Sui Yang, a freshman, who will assist us with data processing." Dean Cheng briefly introduced. "Let's begin." For the next 2 hours, I was fully focused on taking notes, occasionally asking a question or two. "That's all for today," Dean Cheng finally said. "Sui Yang, stay behind. The rest of you may leave." After everyone had left, Dean Cheng closed the door and turned to me. "Do you know Theo G?" My blood ran cold. "What?" "Theo G from the economics department at Northern University." Dean Cheng stared into my eyes. "He was just caught for plagiarism. And it's all over the school forum." I forced myself to stay calm. "No, I don't. What's the matter?" Dean Cheng picked up a document from the desk and handed it to me. "This is the material needed for the meeting. Have it organized by next Monday." He seemed to accept my explanation. But I couldn't shake the feeling that his gaze held a hint of scrutiny. After leaving the graduate building, I immediately logged into the Northern University forum on my phone. The top trending post on the homepage was unmistakably titled "Freshmen Theo G and Luna by Caught Plagiarizing, Facing Disciplinary Action." Clicking into the post, I found detailed evidence of their plagiarism, more comprehensive than what I had reported. The comment section is filled with scathing remarks. "Disgrace to our department. I heard they're a couple, cheating together, dying together. People like this should be expelled." I turned off my phone, my lips curling into an involuntary smile. Theo G, this is just the beginning. Back in the dorm, I opened my computer and logged into an encrypted folder. Inside were all the materials I had collected about Theo G and Luna by during this time. Their social media accounts, class schedules, even online shopping records, the hacking skills I learned as a housewife in my past life. Never thought I'd use them here. I created a new document titled "Revenge Plan." First item, academic scandal, completed. Second item, family crisis, in progress. Item 3, social death, pending implementation. Outside the window, the southern night rain arrives quietly. The raindrops hitting the glass sound eerily like the rain on the day I was hit by a car in my past life. But this time, it won't be me getting drenched. A week before the academic conference, I practically lived in the graduate student building. Dean Cheng's team worked late into the night every day, organizing data, revising models, and rehearsing presentations. This part of the data lacks rigorous cross-validation. Dean Cheng threw a stack of documents in front of me. "Do it again." I opened the file and realized the issues he pointed out were indeed valid. The experience accumulated from my past life has made me very familiar with this type of data. But theoretically, I'm just a freshman who just started college. "Okay, I'll get it done tonight." I pretended to struggle as I agreed. Dean Cheng stared at me for a few seconds, his gaze sharp as if trying to see through something. I lowered my head to avoid his gaze, my fingers tapping on the keyboard. "Have you had any experience with financial modeling before?" he suddenly asked. My heart skipped a beat. "I participated in some business simulation competitions in high school," I answered, half truthfully. Dean Cheng gave no indication of approval or disapproval, then turned and walked toward his desk. At 10 in the evening, only the two of us remained in the research lab. "You should head back first," Dean Cheng said without looking up. "You have class tomorrow." "I'll double-check the data one more time," I insisted. The printer suddenly whirred to life, spitting out a document. Dean Cheng picked up the document and handed it to me. "Take a look at this." It was a complex pricing model for financial derivatives, with several key parameters deliberately marked incorrectly. The third assumption doesn't hold, and the fifth formula uses the wrong variable. I pointed out the issues almost instinctively. Only after speaking did I realize I had reacted too quickly. Dean Cheng's lips curled slightly. As expected, a freshman couldn't have spotted these issues at a glance. Cold sweat trickled down my back. "Who exactly are you?" His voice was soft, yet carried an undeniable force. "Sui Yang. A freshman in the finance department at Nanjing University." I met his gaze directly. "Just a bit more diligent than most." Dean Cheng let out a light chuckle, clearly unconvinced. "See you tomorrow." He packed up his laptop, putting an end to this dangerous conversation. I heaved a long sigh of relief. Seems I'll need to be more careful from now on. The academic conference was held at a 5-star hotel in the city center. I followed Dean Cheng into the venue, wearing a rented black suit. "Don't be nervous," he whispered, "just stay close to me." The venue was filled with financial elites in tailored suits, the clinking of champagne glasses echoing all around. Dean Cheng, a middle-aged man, approached. "And who is this?" "My assistant, Sui Yang," Dean Cheng introduced. "This is President Wang, MD of Huishan Investment, young and promising." President Wang said with a smile as he handed me his business card. "Dean Cheng never brings anyone to such occasions. You must be special." I politely accepted the card, catching a glimpse of Dean Cheng frowning from the corner of my eye. Once the meeting began, Dean Cheng's presentation dazzled the entire room. During the QA session, a white-haired professor raised a sharp question. Dean Cheng was about to respond when I handed him a note. He glanced at it, a flicker of surprise in his eyes, then proceeded to counter the argument by quoting the point I had written. To everyone's surprise, the professor nodded in agreement after hearing it. Thanks to my assistant Sui Yang, Dean Cheng suddenly said. This idea was hers. All eyes in the room turned to me. After the meeting, several industry professionals came to ask for my contact information. Good job. Dean Cheng handed me a glass of juice, but don't steal the spotlight too much. I took the cup, my fingertips accidentally brushing against his hand, sending a subtle electric current up my spine. Why are you helping me? He suddenly asked. Teamwork, isn't it? I took a sip of the juice. Dean Cheng gave me a deep look but didn't press further. On the way back to school, we remained silent the entire time. Starting next week, come to the research lab every Wednesday evening, he said before getting out of the car. I have a project and need some help. Was this a form of recognition? I nodded, feeling a flicker of excitement in my heart. Just got back to the dorm when my phone rang. It was Theo G, calling from a new number. I hesitated but answered anyway. Sui, his voice was hoarse, as if he hadn't slept for days. My mom's condition has worsened. Images of Mother G lying on the hospital bed in my past life flashed before my eyes, along with scenes of me wiping her body and changing her diapers. How much is needed? I asked calmly. There was a brief silence on the other end of the line. The initial treatment will cost 50,000. His voice grew quieter, and there might be more later, in my past life. Not only did I take care of Mother G, but I also gave him all my savings. I can lend you the money, I said, but there are 2 conditions. What conditions? He asked eagerly. First, write an IOU and pay it back within 3 months. Second, tell me when you and Luna got together. Sobbing sounds came from the other end of the phone. On the day of high school graduation, he said with a choked voice, but we've already broken up now, because of my plagiarism incident. I sneered. Truly. Adversity reveals true colors. Send the IOU and medical records to my email tomorrow. I hung up the phone. Turning on the computer, I logged into the Northern University forum. The plagiarism scandal involving Theo G and Luna has already caused a huge uproar, with some even digging up evidence of their puppy love back in high school. I registered a burner account and left a comment under a trending post. Rumor has it Theo G also stole a classmate's startup idea. Such vague accusations are the most effective at sparking speculation. Closing the forum, I opened another encrypted folder. Inside was a backup of Theo G's computer files that I obtained through special channels, searching for keywords like startup and business plan. I indeed found several suspicious documents. One folder named Business Plan Competition particularly caught my attention. Upon opening it, I discovered it was a complete campus food delivery platform proposal. But the author's name listed was someone else's. Theo G was merely a member of the editing team, yet he claimed the entire proposal as his own and entered it into the competition. I captured the crucial evidence and anonymously sent it to the original author. By the time I finished all this, it was already 2 a.m. I lay in bed, but sleep eluded me. At this time in my previous life, I should have been at the hospital accompanying Mother G. While Theo G and Luna were being all lovey-dovey at Northern University. Now, the roles have reversed. Early the next morning, my inbox received Theo G's IOU and scanned medical records. I transferred 50,000 to his account, with the note loan. I'll make him pay back every penny with interest. Dean Cheng's project is more complicated than expected. It's a study on high-frequency trading algorithms, requiring extensive programming and data analysis. You write this part of the code. He tossed me a USB drive. Show me the results in 3 days. I plugged it into the computer and found it was a framework code for a trading strategy. In my previous life after starting work, I had self-taught Python, so code of this difficulty wasn't a problem for me. But I had to control the speed and quality of completion, making sure not to exceed the level expected of a freshman student. On Wednesday evening, I took the written code to the research lab, pushing the door open. I unexpectedly found 2 other people besides Dean Cheng. This is Li Ming, from the computer science department. Dean Cheng pointed to the bespectacled young man, and this is Chen Minute, from the mathematics department. I nodded in greeting, feeling a bit puzzled. Sui Yang, freshman in the finance department. Dean Cheng briefly introduced me. She's responsible for the strategy logic part. Li Ming gave me a surprised glance. A freshman. This part of the algorithm is quite complex. Let me give it a try, I said modestly, handing the USB drive to Dean Cheng. He inserted it into the computer, and the four of us gathered around to watch the code run. On the screen, the algorithm began backtesting historical data, with the green curve steadily rising. A 23% return rate with only a 5% maximum drawdown. Chen Minute adjusted his glasses. This strategy is really strong. Li Ming looked at me skeptically. Are you sure you wrote this independently? Is there a problem? I retorted. He pointed to a piece of code. This optimization method is quite innovative, not something a beginner could come up with. My heart raced, but I maintained a calm exterior. I referenced this paper. I was prepared and opened a complex algorithm paper, Method 2 on page 3, after carefully comparing. Li Ming reluctantly nodded. Dean Cheng remained silent throughout, just watching me thoughtfully. After the meeting ended, he asked me to stay behind alone. That paper was just published by me last week, he said slowly. It hasn't been officially released yet. I froze in place. A single oversight in 100 precautions. Explain. He leaned against the desk, his gaze sharp as a blade. I took a deep breath and decided to mix truth with lies. I hacked into your computer. I met his eyes directly. Just wanted to preview the project materials to prepare in advance. This explanation was far more believable than I'm a reincarnated soul. Dean Cheng raised an eyebrow. A hacker. Just a hobby, I said casually. Learned it in high school. He remained silent for a long time. So long I thought he might call the police. Don't let it happen again, he finally said. Starting tomorrow, you'll be responsible for optimizing the entire strategy. Is this a blessing in disguise? Walking out of the graduate building, the cold wind dispelled the heat on my face. That was too close. I must be more careful in the future. Over the weekend, I received an update notification from the Northern University Forum. Theo G is trending again. Solid evidence. The plagiarist also stole a classmate's business plan. Opening the post reveals the original creator of that food delivery platform coming forward to accuse Theo G of plagiarism. The comment section is filled with condemnation, with some even suggesting the school should expel him. I turned off my phone, feeling conflicted. In my past life, he ruined my life without any remorse. Now that I've returned the favor, why don't I feel the satisfaction I expected? My phone rang again. It was Theo G. Sui. His voice was desperate. I'm being investigated by the school. I might get expelled. Oh, I responded coldly. Could you help explain to the school? He pleaded. Just say that proposal was a joint effort between us. I could hardly believe my ears. Theo G, I said slowly, enunciating each word. Do you remember how you tricked me into giving up my first-choice college application in our senior year? The other end of the phone was dead silent. Now, it's your turn. I hung up and blocked his new number as well. I turned on my computer and logged into the student system to check my grades. I ranked first in the department for the midterm exams, earning an interview opportunity for an internship at a Wall Street investment bank next semester. This was something I wouldn't have dared to dream of in my past life. Outside the window, the leaves of the plane trees rustled in the wind. I touched my chest, where there had once been a gaping hole left by the car accident. Now, it was being slowly filled, bit by bit. The announcement board on the official website of Northern University has been updated. Decision regarding the expulsion of student Theo G. I zoomed in on my phone screen and read every word of this brief announcement carefully. After investigation, it has been confirmed that Theo G., a freshman in the economics department, engaged in serious academic misconduct, including but not limited to plagiarism of assignments and theft of others' entrepreneurial proposals. The announcement was finally stamped with the bright red official school seal. I took a screenshot and posted it in our high school class group chat. My phone immediately buzzed like crazy. Is this for real? Theo G., isn't he supposed to be a top student? I heard he was copying with the class beauty Luna Bai. Why is he the only one getting punished? I closed the group chat without replying to any messages. In my past life, I should have been crying from homesickness in my dorm room at the Polytechnic University at this moment, waiting every day for Theo G's phone call. And now, he's probably packing his bags, slinking back to his hometown in disgrace. The phone rang. A local number. Hello, Sui Yang. Theo G's voice sounded a decade older. Are you satisfied now? I walked to the window, where sunlight filtered through the plane tree leaves, casting dappled shadows on the ground. What do you mean? Stop pretending. He suddenly raised his voice. You're the anonymous whistleblower. Only you knew about those files on my computer, I chuckled softly. So you're admitting to plagiarism and theft? A dull thud of a fist hitting the wall came through the phone. My mom's paralyzed, I got expelled, my dad's drowning in debt. His voice choked up. Why would you do this? The sunlight falls on the back of my hand, warm and real. Do you remember the day we filled out our college applications in senior year? I asked softly. You lied in front of the whole class, saying you'd apply to the same university as me, just because of that. He shouts in disbelief. Just because I didn't go to the same university as you, you want to ruin my life. I grip my phone tightly. The excruciating pain of being hit by a car in my past life seems to surge through my body again. No, Theo G., I said word by word, I want you to experience my life. After hanging up the phone, I turned on my computer and logged into the student system to check my emails. Dean Cheng sent a new data analysis task, requiring completion by tomorrow. Just as I was about to close my mailbox, I suddenly noticed an unread email from Northern University. The sender is Luna Bai. My finger hovered over the mouse, hesitating for a few seconds before clicking. Sui Yang, I know it was you who reported Theo G. Thank you. I froze. What kind of trick is this? The email continued. Theo G. and I broke up long ago. Not only did he plagiarize, but he also stole my assignments to impress other girls. Attached is the evidence. Hope it helps. The attachment was a compressed file containing screenshots of Theo G. and Luna Bai's chat history, along with several assignment documents bearing others' names. I carefully verified the authenticity of the files and confirmed they were not fabricated. It seems Theo G. has offended more people than just me. I stored these new pieces of evidence in an encrypted folder, labeled as backup. Dean Cheng's data analysis task was quite complex. I stayed up until 2 a.m. to complete it, before sending it. I intentionally left a minor mistake, the kind a typical freshman might make. The next day at noon, Dean Cheng's reply arrived. The analysis is mostly correct, but there's an error in the correlation coefficient calculation on page 17. Come to the research lab at 3 p.m. I checked the mistake and indeed, it was a careless error. At exactly 3 p.m., I knocked on the research lab's door. Come in. Dean Cheng stood with his back to the door in front of the whiteboard, which was covered in complex formulas. Sit. He didn't turn around. Do you know where you went wrong? I walked over to him and pointed to a node on the whiteboard. It should be Spearman's coefficient, not Pearson's. Dean Cheng suddenly turned around, and we were so close that I could catch the faint scent of cedar on him. Why did you make that mistake on purpose? He looked straight into my eyes. My heart skipped a beat. What? This mistake is too obvious. He tapped the whiteboard lightly with a marker. At your level, you couldn't have made such an error by accident. Sunlight streamed through the blinds, casting striped shadows across his face, making his features appear even sharper. I was just careless. I averted my gaze. Dean Cheng let out a light chuckle, picked up a document from the desk, and handed it to me. Take a look at this. It was a research paper on the pricing model of financial derivatives, authored by Dean Cheng. This is the paper you referenced last week, he said, but there's an intentionally placed error in it, one only a professional could spot. I quickly skimmed through the paper and immediately found the hidden mistake. Here, the volatility calculation is incorrect. I pointed to a formula on page 8. Dean Cheng's eyes lit up. Exactly. This paper was never actually published. I used it to test you. I froze in place, realizing I had fallen into his trap once again. Who exactly are you? He took a step closer. No freshman could possibly know this much. The research lab was so quiet you could hear the ticking of the clock. I took a deep breath and decided to partially confess. My father is a financial analyst. That's true. I've been exposed to this since childhood. That's also true, except it was in my past life. Dean Cheng's expression softened slightly. So you deliberately hid your abilities. I didn't want to draw too much attention, I said quietly, especially, as a woman. This reason seemed to convince him. The financial industry does indeed have gender biases. Don't ever pretend in front of me again. He turned around and wrote on the whiteboard. At the last minute of college application, I changed my choice, followed by, read all these, we'll discuss next week. I breathed a sigh of relief and noted down, at the last minute of college application, I changed my choice. One more thing, he said without turning back. Next week, you're coming with me to Shanghai for an industry summit. I looked up in surprise. Me, you, he finally turned around, the corners of his mouth lifting slightly. "Don't let me down." Stepping out of the research lab, the back of my shirt was already soaked through. Engaging with Dean Cheng was like dancing on the edge of a knife. One misstep and all would be lost, but danger often comes hand in hand with opportunity. On the weekend, I went back home. "Sui," Mom hugged me in pleasant surprise. "Why are you back all of a sudden? I missed you." I sniffed the familiar scent of her perfume, my nose tingling with emotion. In my past life at this time, I had already taken a leave of absence to take care of G's mother. And my relationship with my parents had become very strained. Dad came out of the study, his eyes lighting up. "My daughter's back." During dinner, I brought up Theo G's expulsion from school. "Serves him right," Mom said indignantly. "Not a single decent person in the G family. Old G came to borrow money last month, saying his wife was hospitalized, but someone saw him at a Macau casino." My chopsticks paused. "Uncle G gambles. He's up to his neck in debt." Dad shook his head. "I heard he even mortgaged the house." In my previous life, after G's mother was injured, the G family did indeed move into a small apartment very quickly. At the time, I thought it was because the medical bills were too expensive. Now it seems there was more to the story. "Oh," Mom suddenly said, "I ran into Mrs. G at the hospital yesterday." My heart raced. "How is she doing?" "Not too well," Mom sighed. "She's lying alone in the hospital room. And the caregivers aren't putting in much effort. Theo G seems to have returned, but he rarely shows up." In my past life, I stayed by Mrs. G's bedside 24/7. "Mom, if Theo G comes to you asking for money, don't give him any," I said seriously. The parents exchanged puzzled glances. "Don't worry." Dad patted my hand. "We've long seen through what kind of people the G family are." On the way home, I made a detour to the municipal hospital, standing at the entrance of the inpatient department. I hesitated for a long time before finally walking in. Room 409. In my past life, I spent countless days and nights here. Through the small window on the door, I saw Aunt G lying alone on the hospital bed, much thinner than I remembered. The caregiver was playing with their phone nearby, completely unaware that the patient's forebag was almost empty. I turned and left, pausing at the nurse's station. "Patient in room 409. I asked the duty nurse, "Where are her family members?" The nurse glanced up at me. "Her son comes occasionally, and even the payments are often late." I took out my wallet and counted out 3,000 in cash. "Please arrange a more responsible caregiver for her, and use the rest to buy some nutritional supplements." I paused. "Don't mention who gave it." The nurse took the money in surprise. "You are someone who once took care of her." I turned and walked away, leaving the hospital. The setting sun dyed the sky blood red. I'm no saint, just trying to ease my conscience a little. On Monday morning, Dean Cheng sent a text, "Meet at the school gate at 3 p.m. Bring 2 formal outfits." The trip to Shanghai was moved up. I dug out my only suit dress and rushed to the school laundry room to have it ironed urgently. At 3 p.m., I arrived at the school gate dragging a small suitcase. A black car was already waiting there. The window rolled down, revealing Dean Cheng's face behind sunglasses. "Get in." The air conditioning inside was set to a chilly temperature, and the leather seats emitted a faint, pleasant fragrance. "The trip is 2 days and 1 night. Dean Cheng handed me a folder. "Here's the meeting materials and your temporary work pass." I flipped through the materials and found that my title was Assistant Researcher at the Nanjing University Institute of Finance. "Is this appropriate?" I asked nervously. "If I say you are, then you are." Dean Cheng closed his laptop. "Don't make me repeat myself." 3 hours later, we arrived at the Lujiazhu Financial Center in Shanghai. The hotel lobby is resplendent and magnificent, with crystal chandeliers refracting dazzling light. "Your room is next to mine." Dean Cheng handed me the key card. "We'll meet in the lobby at 7 for dinner with a few clients." The room is at least 3 times larger than my dorm, with a floor-to-ceiling window offering a night view of the Huangpu River. I changed into formal attire and carefully applied my makeup. The girl in the mirror has sharp eyes, a far cry from the love-struck Sui Yang of her past life. At exactly 7 o'clock, I walked into the lobby. Dean Cheng was chatting with a few middle-aged men in suits. When he saw me, his gaze lingered for a few seconds. "This is my assistant, Sui Yang." He introduced me to the clients. The youngest financial engineering expert from Nanjing University, The dinner took place at a high-end Japanese restaurant, and the conversation quickly turned to the stock market. What do you think about the A-share market trend in the second half of the year? Xiao Yang, a balding CEO, suddenly asked me. The table fell silent, and everyone turned to look at me. I put down my chopsticks, recalling the stock market data from the second half of 2013 in my previous life. There will be a slight correction in the third quarter, I said calmly, but with favorable policies in the fourth quarter, the Shanghai Composite Index is expected to break through 400 points. The executives exchanged glances, as the market sentiment was generally bearish at the moment. Interesting. A man wearing gold-rimmed glasses chuckled. Dean Cheng, your assistant is quite bold. Dean Cheng gave me a meaningful look. She's usually spot on. It was almost midnight when we returned to the hotel. Meet in the lobby at 8 tomorrow, Dean Cheng said briefly in the elevator. I nodded, suddenly noticing he looked a bit pale. Are you feeling unwell? It's an old problem. He pressed his temples. It's fine. We each returned to our rooms. But I tossed and turned in bed. At 1 in the morning, I knocked on Dean Cheng's door. What is it? He was still wearing a shirt and dress pants when he opened the door, clearly not asleep either. Here's some medicine for you. I held up the painkillers and heat patches I bought from the 24-hour pharmacy. I noticed you kept rubbing your temples during dinner. Dean Cheng froze for a moment, then stepped aside from the doorway. Come in. His room was more luxurious than mine, with documents scattered all over the desk. Migraine. I handed him the medicine and a glass of water. He swallowed the pill. It's hereditary. Acts up when I'm stressed. I unwrapped the heating patch. This should help you feel better. Dean Cheng didn't refuse, letting me stick it on his forehead. We were very close, and I could smell the faint scent of whiskey on his breath. Why are you helping me? He suddenly asked. I withdrew my hand and stepped back from him. Isn't this what teamwork is about? He chuckled lightly. You always use that line to brush me off. Then why did you bring me to Shanghai? I countered. Was it really just because you needed an assistant? Dean Cheng removed the hot compress patch, his gaze sharpening. Because I'm curious. Curious about what? Curious about why you have an almost precognitive intuition about financial markets. He slowly moved closer. Curious about why you always seem to know what I'm thinking. My heartbeat quickened, and I took a step back, bumping into the desk. I just have a keen eye for observation. Dean Cheng shook his head. No, it's more than that. Every time before the market shifts, you have this subtle reaction, as if you already know the outcome. Cold sweat broke out in my palms. He had noticed too many details. Dean Cheng, I forced a calm tone. You've been watching too many movies. He stared at me for a few seconds, then suddenly smiled. Go to sleep. There's an important meeting tomorrow. Back in my room, I locked the door, my legs weak. Dean Cheng is too sharp. If this continues, I'll be exposed sooner or later. But strangely, besides fear, there was also a faint sense of anticipation in my heart. If anyone could understand my secret, would it be him? After the meeting ended the next day, we headed straight back to school. Throughout the journey, Dean Cheng was unusually quiet, focusing solely on driving. Thank you for your guidance these past few days. I broke the silence before getting out of the car. He turned to look at me. Next Wednesday, same time at the lab. I nodded and dragged my suitcase toward the dormitory. My phone suddenly vibrated. It was a multimedia message from an unknown number. Upon opening it, I froze in place. In the photo, Theo G, unshaven, sits by the hospital bed, holding Mother G's hand. The caption reads only one sentence. Are you satisfied now? I turn off my phone and look up at the sky. The sunlight is still bright, yet it cannot reach the dark corner of my heart. Why is the pleasure of revenge so fleeting? Theo G's expulsion notice looked particularly glaring in the sunlight. I stood at the entrance of Northern University, watching him stuff his last piece of luggage into the taxi. After 3 months without seeing him, he had grown so thin he was almost unrecognizable, his t-shirt hanging loosely on his frame, with dark circles under his eyes. Sui, he looked up and saw me, nearly dropping the cardboard box in his hands. I heard you're leaving school today. I took a few steps closer. I came specifically to see you off. He let out a bitter laugh. More like here to watch me make a fool of myself. The school gate was bustling with people coming and going, and occasionally, students would cast curious glances our way. The scandal of Theo G's plagiarism has spread throughout the school, and now has become a pariah that everyone avoids. My mom's condition has worsened, he suddenly said. She needs surgery, and it'll cost at least 200,000. I quietly watched him without responding. My dad ran away, he said hoarsely. Debt collectors come every day, and the house is already mortgaged. A gust of wind blew by, sweeping up the fallen leaves on the ground. In my past life at this time, I was on leave from school to take care of Mrs. G at home, sleeping only 4 hours a day, my hands peeling from being soaked in disinfectant. Do you know what the most ironic part is? Theo G suddenly laughed, his laughter uglier than crying. After Luna Bai broke up with me, she immediately latched onto the department head's son. I handed him a bottle of water. Did you ever love her? He took the water, his fingers trembling slightly. I thought I loved her, until now, when I have nothing left, I realized what? Realized you were the only one who ever truly cared for me. He looked up at me, tears glistening in his eyes. Sui, I was wrong. The sunlight fell on his face, that face which once made me lose my mind. Now only exhaustion and regret remained. Theo G, I called his name softly. If I told you that all of this was designed by me, would you believe me? He froze. What do you mean? The plagiarism report was filed by me. The original author of the business plan was contacted by me, and even your father's creditors, I was the one who had them press for repayment. Theo G's face turned deathly pale in an instant. Why? Because this is what you owe me. I took a step forward, lowering my voice. In our past life, you tricked me into giving up a top-tier university, deceived me into taking care of your mother, and in the end, you flew off into the sunset with Luna Bai, while I died on my way to find you. His pupils constricted violently. Are you insane? What past life? Rebirth, I smiled. I died once, and now I'm back, and now, you've finally become the person I despise the most. Theo G staggered back, bumping into the taxi door. Impossible, he murmured. This can't be. Take good care of your mother. I turned to leave, experience the life of my past self. After walking a few steps, I heard the sound of his breakdown. Strangely, I didn't feel the satisfaction I had imagined. There was only an indescribable emptiness. Dean Cheng's text message interrupted my thoughts. Lab, now, just 4 short words, yet they made my heart race. Over the past 3 months, our relationship had subtly changed, from being mentor and student at first, to project partners, and then to, I don't know how to define our current relationship. The graduate dormitory was eerily quiet. Pushing open the door of room 303, Dean Cheng stood with his back to me by the window, the sunlight outlining a dazzling silhouette around him. Close the door. He didn't turn around. I closed the door. My heart beat so loud I could hear it myself. The offer from Wall Street has arrived. He turned around, holding a gold-embossed envelope. It's for you. I took the envelope, my fingers trembling slightly, opening it. I saw it was a summer internship invitation from JP Morgan. This, I looked up at him. Your recommendation. Dean Cheng's lips curled slightly. I just told them the truth. You're the most talented student I've ever seen. Student, the word stung me inexplicably. Thank you. I tried to stay calm. I won't let you down. Dean Cheng took a few steps closer, the faint scent of cedar lingering around him. One more thing. He handed me another document. Take a look at this. It was a business proposal titled Stellar Capital. A new paradigm in quantitative investment. This is our company. Dean Cheng looked straight into my eyes. If you're willing. Sunlight filtered through the blinds, casting dappled shadows on his face. Why me? I asked softly. Dean Cheng was silent for a moment, then suddenly reached out to touch my cheek. Because the way you look at the market. His thumb brushed over my lower lip. It's like you can see the future. My breath hitched, my heart nearly leaping out of my chest. What if I told you? I gathered my courage. I really can see the future. Dean Cheng's hand froze, his gaze deepening. Then I'll say, he slowly leaned in. His breath brushing past my ear, finally found a kindred spirit. I jerked back. What? Dean Cheng straightened up and pulled out a notebook from the drawer. When opened, it was filled with dense, meticulous notes. In September 2013, you accurately predicted the sharp drop in gold prices. In November, you foretold the Federal Reserve's policy change 3 days in advance. Last week, you casually mentioned a stock that hit the limit up today. With each statement he made, my blood ran colder. At first I thought you were insider trading. He closed his notebook, but then I realized, you genuinely knew. the research lab was eerily quiet. Who are you, Sui Yang? Dean Cheng's voice was soft. Or rather, what are you? The plane tree outside the window rustled, as if urging me to make a decision. I took a deep breath, walked up to the whiteboard, and picked up a marker. If I told you, I wrote down a few complex financial formulas. That these will be proven wrong within 5 years. Would you believe me? Dean Cheng raised an eyebrow. Evidence. Next March, LTCM will resurge using this model. I circled one of the formulas, then lose 90% within 6 months, proving it has a fatal flaw. Dean Cheng's expression changed. That's impossible to predict, but I just know. I looked straight into his eyes, because for me, this is already history that has happened. Time seemed to freeze. Dean Cheng's gaze shifted from shock to confusion, finally turning into a peculiar, understanding, rebirth. He asked softly. I nodded, my anxious heart finally settling. Unexpectedly, Dean Cheng suddenly laughed. I knew it. He shook his head. No ordinary freshman girl could possibly know that much. You believe? I was at a loss for words. Believe? Dean Cheng walked toward the window. I've come across related theories while studying quantum physics, but, he turned to look at me. I never expected to encounter a real-life example. The sunlight formed a halo behind him, as if in a dream. So, he walked back to stand before me. What was your purpose in approaching me? It was just a coincidence at first, I said honestly. Later, I realized you could help me become stronger. Dean Cheng chuckled lightly. Using me, mutual benefit, I corrected. Your project needs my precognitive ability. He nodded thoughtfully. Fair enough. So, who is Theo G? I didn't expect him to ask that. In my past life, the person who killed me, I briefly explained my feud with Theo G. After hearing this, Dean Cheng's expression became complicated. So you were reborn for revenge? At first, yes. I looked out the window at the plane tree. But now, what now? Now I realize. I whispered, the thrill of revenge is fleeting, but building something, like our company, that brings true fulfillment. Dean Cheng watched me quietly, sunlight dancing on his lashes. Suddenly, he reached out and pulled me into his embrace. Welcome back, time traveler, he whispered in my ear. This time I'll show you a different world. His heartbeat was steady and strong, inexplicably comforting me. On graduation day, the sunlight was exceptionally brilliant. As the outstanding graduate representative, I delivered a speech on stage to thunderous applause from the audience. The parents sat in the front row, their eyes brimming with proud tears. Finally, I glanced at the end of my speech. I'd like to thank everyone who has helped me, especially Senior Dean Cheng. My gaze swept across the guest seats, where Dean Cheng, dressed in a dark blue suit, raised his champagne glass to me. Some say university is the turning point of life, I continued. But I believe any moment can be a new beginning, if you're willing to change. After the ceremony, Dean Cheng waited for me outside the auditorium. Great speech, he said, handing me a bouquet of sunflowers, especially the last line. I took the flowers, their golden petals shimmering in the sunlight. I'm leaving for New York next week, I said softly. Dean Cheng nodded. I'll meet up with you in a month. Registering the company takes time. We walked slowly along the tree-lined path, neither of us mentioning the impending separation. How's Theo G doing? He suddenly asked. Just got the news yesterday, I said calmly. His mother's surgery failed. She's completely paralyzed now. He took a night shift job at a supermarket, juggling debt repayment and caring for her. Dean Cheng stopped in his tracks. Is this the ending you wanted? I gazed at the students laughing and playing in the distance, remaining silent for a moment. Strangely enough, I said softly, when I actually saw him living my past life, I didn't feel as happy as I'd imagined. Dean Cheng pondered thoughtfully. Revenge can never fill the void in one's heart. Yes, I smiled. Luckily, I found something more meaningful, like the offer from Wall Street, like our stellar capital, like... Dean Cheng suddenly turned to face me, cupping my face in his hands. Sui Yang, he said earnestly, once we establish ourselves in New York, marry me. Sunlight filtered through the leaves, casting dappled shadows on his face. I froze. Throughout this life and the last, it was the first time anyone had said those words to me. Are you sure you want to marry a reborn person? I asked half jokingly. That's why. His thumb brushed across my cheek. Next time you're reborn, remember to come find me earlier. I laughed, but tears streamed down uncontrollably. Okay, I heard myself say, "See you in New York," as the plane took off. I watched the shrinking city skyline through the window, everything from the past life. Theo G's betrayal, the hardships of caring for G's mother, the excruciating pain of being hit by a car, all faded away with the increasing altitude. Ahead lies a brand new future. This time, I won't give up my own sky for anyone.